All right, I'm going to take you through a small editing session here. I picked a photograph that I like a lot. This is Adobe Bridge, by the way, and this is the picture I like a lot. Now you look at that and you'll say, well, it's basically too dark and not going to be able to fix it. But I want to show you how easy it is to fix when you have a raw file. So I'm going to open that in Photoshop, and it's going to open up into the plugin for the raw converter. Now immediately here I can always hit auto, and auto automatically pops it into place. But I don't want to really do that because I'm not interested in getting all this water spotting and stuff like that. So I'm going to go back to default, and I'm going to bring up the exposure myself to there. Now you can see it's more exposed here, but it's darker back here. There's a couple ways I can fix that. One of them is by taking the blacks up a little bit and lightening the lights, and maybe the clarity a little bit. You'll see it pop up a little bit. Okay, Vibrance increases the subtle colors, and saturation just basically hits the base colors. So I don't like hitting saturation. I'll hit Vibrance a little bit, and that brings them pop up. Now, overall, I'm going to deal with the color balance here. Overall, the picture is, and this is from my trained eye, a little bit green. So if you use this little brush up here, this eyedropper rather, and you're lucky enough to have something black in the tank, gray or white, you can click on that, and there's a small piece of white down here that is a filter. I'm going to click on that for a second, and you see how it automatically popped into place and made it more color. It balances based on white, black, or gray. So this little eyedropper here fixes it right away. So I'm looking now, these are all the basic controls. I'm going to go to the secondary controls, which are highlights, shadows, and midtones. Now I can see that the shadows are down, so I'm going to bump up the shadow a little bit, and you'll see it automatically improve. These are the darks, which are just the, not shadows, but the little dark, little lighter shade of dark. I'm going to bring that up. You're going to see that a lot. Lights are the highlight, and the highlights are the shine up here that you would see. Okay, so I like that a little bit. I'll go back here for a second and bump up the contrast. That'll help improve some of those colors. And going back to, this is very important, over to the folder here and enable profile correction. Sometimes it'll change. You can see the camera pop into place. That basically balances the raw converter into a more specific for your filter that you use, which I use the 70 millimeter filter here. All right, so going back to the picture, some other folders here. This is the amount in sharpening. Generally, you don't have to sharpen your picture. If you want to sharpen, they tell you to go up to about 100, and then scroll down here. And then just a little bit of sharpening up here generally does a trick in increasing the detail here. Brings a little more sharpness to it. All this stuff for noise reduction, don't worry about that right now. So I'm going to want to lighten this up a little bit. Now you have to be careful lighting it up. You can't just light the light parts, you have to light the dark parts too. So there's a brush up here you can use, and you can generally make it about the size of the area you're doing it in. And you can see over here this feathering. That's this little top part. You can see the dotted line and the straight line. That's the feathering, and I can increase the feathering like that. But I usually bring it down about here for what I'm about to do. Over here is the exposure. What is the pen? So I'm going to take the pen. I'm going to go up a little higher, and I'm going to go and narrow it down there. Every time you do this, you create a mask around here, okay? If you want to add a new, and that's generally what I try and do, because not all of them are the same. So I'm going to do this here. There's a clarity button. Bump the clarity up a little bit. New again, and then the fins. And this is real important because it gives a little more to body at the bottom. And we're going to bump up the clarity on that a little bit, and the contrast. Cool. Okay. Now, a couple different ways you can deal with all these water spots. One is to drop it down and the shadows down, but you can't because the fish is black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another folder here, and rather than lighten everything, I'm going to darken everything. like this. Straight down a little bit. There you go. And under the fish. And good. Okay. All right. That looks like it might be pretty close. I'm going to take one more stab at the color balance. I'm going to try the eye here. Sometimes the eye will work. Black. Nope, too yellow. With the brown. That's closer. But that piece of white seems to be the most accurate, I think, so far. All right. So, that's the extent of it. So here's the final result. Had I had the camera just give me a JPEG, this is what I would have received, and obviously that wouldn't be acceptable. A little bit of editing with the raw filter. I had that, which is a lot better, a lot lighter, maybe too light. And if you want to be a little more dramatic, you can change the way and how much you process it. So it's overall, it's a really cool program. If you haven't tried it, I encourage you to give it a whack.